Good day, everyone. Let's embark on another adventure as we gather more insights in doing action research. And as one great mind who happens to be our guide in this undertaking mentioned, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. I am Dr. Julmar Asilo, and here is 3 in 1 plus 1, together beyond trying times, core, convergence, and continuity in research. According to Jack Whitehead, we must find a way of bridging the traditional divide between educational theory and professional practice. As such, there really is a sense of urgency and great need for action research. Proponents have to make that step towards change. Though faced with seemingly unending problems, do not let these become a burden and interfere with your endless possibilities. Research is intentional, systematic, and purposeful. It answers a question, solves a problem, or understands a phenomenon. Action research is more systematic, deep thought, and more informal. Some of the highlights on the comparison between traditional and action researches are: for traditional methods, theories are developed and generalized principles are discovered. It is conducted by outside experts, and researchers are detached from the study. While action researchers aim to improve practice, they themselves are involved in the context and engaged in the study. Next is the item guide in assessing the competence of the researcher and quality of work for members of the Defense Committee. However, credits to the MSEUF Academe is hereby given for the sample, which is not for reproduction and used here only for presentation purposes. Steps for action research follows, which is quite similar to any scholarly work, of beginning with a purpose and ending in practical application, through a series of systematic procedures. Educators conduct research based on individuals' actual experience according to the following. First, begin with the analysis of classroom experiences, issues, concerns, and challenges. Reflect on presently used instructions, learning methods, and devices. Identify the best works and pressing needs for improvement. Center on the action to do changes and improvements in a continuous manner. Target maximum benefits for self, learners, school, and community through collection of data from daily activities and problems, formulation of expectations built from possible outcomes for self-fulfillment, personal growth, enhance educator-mentor relationship with the students, champion friendly atmosphere with peers, and be pioneer advocator to the community. This is a modified research process flow in different phases, with some highlights such as focus on immediate problems, input and output consideration, and benefits like improved education methods, work and learning conditions, and safeguarding students, peers, and the academe's welfare. All three have corresponding outputs such as action plan, data and program development, and impact assessment. A feedback mechanism is incorporated to address the need for further improvement and address the demand for change. In the research outline, there are some minor differences between the action research proposed by DepEd pursuant to DepEd Order 4, Series of 2016, as to the traditional format done in colleges and universities. Stress on action research seeks to create knowledge or understanding of the nature of a certain phenomenon through evaluation, investigation, and analysis, with information communicated for necessary action towards the desired change. The concept of 3-in-1 is Sanjian, the three core faiths in China, a term which means three teachings harmonious as one. China's three faiths have borrowed extensively from each other. Taoism was in many ways a reaction to the strictness of Confucianism, while Buddhism added a fresh perspective on the premises in the real world. Sanjian reflects the long history, mutual influences, and complementary teachings and practices of Confucius, Lao Tzu, and Siddhartha Gautama. Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism constitute the essence of traditional Chinese culture. Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism are considered the three pillars of ancient Chinese society. They not only influence spirituality but also government, science, arts, and social structure. They have occasionally been at odds with each other, but instead of one tradition taking over and pushing the others out, the three philosophies have influenced society alongside each other, changed each other, and at times blended together. Understanding the unique history between these three traditions gives great insight into ancient Chinese society as well as modern times. Confucianism is extensively a selfless teaching where harmony between people following a strict hierarchy is the way to prosperity. The relationship between people are not to be enforced by law, but rather set by example, and accepted as necessary for the maintenance of social cohesion. This view of society is very much representative of the Bronze Age China, which is when Confucius is thought to have lived and taught. In stark contrast to this instruction on social hierarchy came Taoism. Lao Tzu, believed to be a contemporary of Confucius, founded and codified Taoism in a book called Tao Te Ching. The faith is based around the concept of the Tao, the way, not just the old way, but your own way. Unlike Confucianism, Taoism emphasizes the individual. It resembles the early version of the Romanticism that swept the Western world in the 19th century. That, too, was a movement that advocated the reassertion of the self. It also placed huge importance on the simplicity of the natural world, perhaps as an antidote to the perceived complexity of Confucius's notions of hierarchy. Buddhism stepped in to fill the gap between Confucianism and Taoism. If Confucianism provided points on social cohesion and moral integrity, Taoism is all about happiness found in simplicity, naturalness, and individuality. Buddhism addressed the human condition, the inevitability of suffering. Siddhartha Gautama established a core Buddhist tenet, the so-called middle way, between self-indulgence and self-mortification. While he taught that suffering was inevitable, he also reminded that life was in a constant state of flux. Buddhism established the truism that life is neither black or white, its shades of gray. The succeeding presentation presents the convergence of Sanjiao and research management as the springboard for action research. Take, for instance, the second row in the table. If the nature of reality is impermanent and interconnected, for the Buddhists, Taoists, they believe that the spiritual soul tends to wander, which stresses on the progression from body to intellect level of existence, which is suggestive of change. The Confucian thought that one should learn as if he could never keep pace with others is along the lines of Buddhism, Taoism, and research management, where there has been an explosion of digital tools available, prompting everyone to adapt change or be left behind. These contribute to the outstanding recognition of China's universities from the prestigious and distinguished global education network Quacquarelli Simone. Plus one is basically research management, which encompasses administrative and operational functions in managing research, pre- and post-award management, contractual arrangements, and can include any functions related to intellectual property, business development, spin-out companies, and technology transfer. Whatever your discipline, manage the day-to-day aspects of research as a challenge. One should solicit practical advice, tips, and strategies to secure the resources and develop the skills needed to manage the research project more effectively. Here are the strategies of research management. Develop research with impact. Use digital for research. Use search engines effectively. Use Twitter for academic research. Use social software tools for research. And conduct research ethically. From Ted Danson, a Hollywood actor, to President Barack Obama, there is nothing like these hard times to make one realize what's important, and this couldn't be truer than in the world of scholarly research. This predicament is reminding us that the purpose of scholarly research is not just to allocate credit for career advancement. It is about, scholars communicating with each other to share insights for the benefit of humanity. And while this is nothing new in a time of crisis, this isn't just a rhetoric. This is reality. Hence, the researcher has to adapt to changes, should focus on a goal, take part in a research community, for there is strength in numbers. Researchers learn more and faster together, and these hard times underscore the critical role of collaborative efforts, inclusive of the frontliners of learning and education.